Okay, if I set this down on the table, can you hear it?
If I set it there, something, yeah. Okay. So we have this is well, first of all, I would like to call to order the Board of Education, the Parsons Board of Education work session / special board meeting for December 8th, 2016. Here. The Stormire is here. So we have 4 present plus our 2 fellow representatives and 1 absent. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Any member of the public who desires to address the board on any topic related to the board, please find your office back here before 6:30 p.m. Have you all had an opportunity to review tonight's agenda? Any other questions, comments, issues? The only change that I would like to request is to move item 4, public comment, up before item 3, superintendent's report. We have a guest here tonight who would like to talk to us during public comment, and I'd like to recognize him that we see it, so this time to speak. If that's okay with you, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. So now moving on to item number 4, public comments. So I would like to introduce Paul Shore, who is a representative of the City Planning Department. The city has embarked on an ambitious program relating to our city's comprehensive plan, and it has a direct impact on neighborhoods. And since our schools are an integral part of our neighborhoods, I wanted to talk a little bit about the project. And while the people in attendance here are superintendent's cabinets, and they are the direct conduits to all of our school administration and agencies. So, with that being said, welcome.
So I will try to speak in the microphone. I'm not always the best at doing this. Just wanted to kind of introduce the City Comprehensive Plan update to you all so you're aware of it. Touch base on really rapid fire on 4 or 5 different quick topics just to make you, again, aware of it. And it's a 2-year process to update the city's comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is the plan for physical development of the city. So it's kind of like the mothership of all the physical plans for the city. Things like roadway plans, neighborhood plans, things like that. Some of you are probably more or less familiar with city comprehensive plans or county comprehensive plans, and I'm very happy to give you more information at a future date if you want to do that. But that's what we're doing, and there is definitely a relationship to the school districts, all of them. I'll give you a little background on myself. In my non-day job, my evening job, I'm involved with School District 11. I have a child who goes to North Middle School, another one who goes to Palmer High School. And I also somewhat familiar, although not an expert, on K-12 education because I'm the chair of their District Accountability Committee, involved in their SACs, was the chair of their Budget Committee for District 11, and also their capital committee that put together the items for their bond issue, which narrowly was defeated. So hopefully you won't blame all that on me. But in any case, I do have some familiarity with K-12 education, and I try to take that with me in my day job, which is comprehensive planning manager. But again, there's definitely a relationship with issues that school boards face and city comprehensive plans because of your involvement in neighborhoods, the community, the physical planning of schools, neighborhoods, charter schools, all those various issues. In our steering committee, in that handout, you'll see, just it happens to be the agenda for our next meeting, you'll see the steering committee that includes the city council president and a lot of different other folks in the community. And you'll see, kind of see the relationship we have there with our planning commission and a lot of other folks. So it is a very high level effort that we have, that we're doing for the city. And that group, that steering committee, one of the things they have identified to us in their direction to us is that relationship with K-12 schools is very important, and workforce preparation and education. So although you are different governing bodies, you all are the governing body for obviously the school district with CDE kind of participation. Separate governmental structures, there is a relationship there, and we'd like to make sure that we get your input. Also passed out some postcards. We've got more of those if you want. We have a robust public process. Traditionally, southeast part of the city of Colorado Springs is traditionally underrepresented. So we'd love to get as much representation as we can. We've got about 1,200 people that have completed our survey. You can go to Plan COS. You could text on your phone right now in less than 1 minute and answer to what you want to see Colorado Springs in 2036. So you can do that. Folks that you connect with can do that. I'm giving you rapid fire here stuff, but we have posters. We would love, and when working with Deborah Ashby, who's the communications person for District 11, to try and get these in District 11 schools, working with the libraries, Sand Creek Library, for example, get these in the libraries, working with the YMCAs, like the Southeast YMCA, to get these in YMCAs. It'd be very nice if we could get them in District 2 schools also, if that's something that would work for all of you. Again, that communications piece is very important. This is a 2-year process. It starts with these very open-ended questions like, what do you like about Colorado Springs? What do you think we need to work on? And then as we go through that process, the first page of that handout, you'll see that process. We start to hone down into the choices. And so I want you to be aware of that. You're one of the big 5 school districts as I view them for Colorado Springs. The other ones are District 11, District 20, District 49, and District 12. Because you are the 5 that really have the most to do with Colorado Springs. So we definitely want your participation and input. Don't know whether we could pull this off or not, but I've talked a little bit to Dr. Gleditch, District 11 Superintendent. There's apparently a superintendent's meeting that occurs every month or so. And because of the big 5, which are different than the group that you all meet with normally, or that your superintendent does, it might make more sense to have a separate meeting at some point to talk about what's important to school districts, what your commonalities are with 11, with 12, with District 49, and then what's distinct and unique about your physical development needs that might be quite different than 49, for example, which is going to be the growth district in the city of Colorado Springs. It's going to take over from District 20 probably. Obviously 11 is much more of a mature district and is dealing with kind of taking care of its 50-year-old average facilities, for example. Another thing I wanted to touch base on is we had a great event with Ticket to Success, which is a mayor's program, and we had 3 middle schools from Harrison who participated in that. And if you look, I think it's on the back page, second to back page of your handout. I passed these out. Maybe we didn't get you enough of them. I might have run out. I didn't think they were giving me that many. Did it keep moving? Oh, they're holding them up. Keeping them safe. Second to last page there are some of the vision themes we're working on. And those vision themes were worked on by middle school students. And they did a wonderful job in, not the word cloud, one page before that, you'll see those vision statements. Community vision statements. And imagine middle school students from Harrison middle schools like Fox Meadow, I think it's Panorama, Carmel, all participating in a couple an all-morning exercise with us, and they did just an absolutely wonderful job helping us with that prioritization.
And the question they got is, what do you want your school to look like in
whatever, but also which of these themes is more important? Can you come up with a new one? And by the way, I'm just sharing with you a little bit. They said, hey, these are great. We want to tweak them a little bit, but another one, we want to live in a safe community. You have to deal with that core value, those core important supporting conditions first. And they actually came up with that. And believe it or not, that language has been carried forward into what we're taking to the overall steering committee, city council, for example. So just having said that, I wanted to acknowledge that it was really a fun time with District 11 students when we did that program. District 2. Sorry, I spent too much time in District 11. I could tell you a story about them too and my daughters, but that's a Rodney Dangerfield story. But the other thing that I talked to Ms. Gonzalez a little bit about this, if there's an opportunity for us to do any other kind of program in District 2, especially with high schools, we'd love to do that. We'd love to get that input. And so if there's an opportunity there, we'd like to help out with that. So we're available if you want to do that. And with that, I'm done talking and would love to have any questions if you have those. And we really want to get the word out. We would like to get the input of all of your residents, all of your schools, the larger D2 community, but also representatives of D2 in terms of how we can do the best job with our comp plan and meet your needs, which are obviously essential to the city.
Thanks, Carl. I have a couple of comments. So the thought that I had is when I attended a few of the technical groups meetings, and you have a group, a steering committee, and you have co-founders and people who are kind of critical in the development of it, and the southeast part of town is underrepresented on that group. Is that correct?
Thank you. And I only had 8 notes and I forgot that one. We have an important notion. Imagine this 18-person steering committee that is appointed by the mayor. That includes a couple council members, folks from different areas. There's a gentleman named Taj Stokes, who's from the southeast part of town, who's part of that group, for example. But it doesn't come close to mirroring the entire community. With 460,000 people, a lot of constituencies. For example, we don't have a single person from the Hispanic community as part of that group. So we're looking for force multiplication for folks who are willing to be part of this 2-year process and help us out. We call them co-creators, and we have about 50 of them lined up right now. But we map them all out on a map, and guess what? Everybody outside of Academy in particular, but Southeast also even more particularly, tend to be underrepresented. So we're really looking for folks. We're frankly going to cut off the supply generally for the city pretty soon, and then go out and strategically look at gap analysis to make sure we have folks really that are representing the entire community. So if anyone's interested in coming along with us in a little bit more involved manner, we'd love to hear from you.
So for you all, I would ask you if you know people from your communities who are active in the community and are willing to step up and talk about the priorities that they have for their communities around public safety, around affordable housing, around transit, around retail development, and what else can we think of that affects neighborhoods and the quality of life and how they want neighborhoods to develop, walkability, all of those things. And you know, people who would be willing to raise their hand and give their opinion. I know we have a lot of people in the store. More than happy to share their opinion on a lot of different things. Please let me know or let this process here know. I wonder if you have any materials in
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Just the cards at this point, but we now have I used to be a 1-employee operation. We're going to have 2 pretty soon, and our Conrad Almeida, who you know, is now moved over to help me out, and he happens to be bilingual. And our intention is to get some of these additional materials translated. We already have these cards. I should have brought some down. I apologize. In Spanish, I can get those to you, and you can get those to folks here.
Okay.
Is this the committee that decides the boundaries for school districts and how those things?
I can answer that. No, you all decide the boundaries for school districts through the state. The boundaries for city council districts is a separate process that operates through the city clerk. So we don't do boundaries.
No, yeah, I think if the school district boundaries were going to be changed, it would be the state legislature.
Correct. And,
Yes,
and it's very hard to do.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And I'm going to leave a few of
Thanks,
these
Brian.
things
Yes,
here.
please do, and I'll let you know if we
If they
have
get
any.
posted, I want to know where they are. I'd like to know metrics.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you all, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, the superintendent's report. We have 2 plus reports.
Give you an overview of the grading that was highlighted in the access report. Given ourselves the margin of making reasonable progress with no exceptions, the only exception is that we did not, although we did not set a target, we didn't percentile all of our scholars in grade level group. We did achieve the 50 median grade percentile. And this denotes average performance across grade levels. In addition, the highest status of working and reaching of grades 3, 5, 6, 8, 9 through 10, down to 12 shows a decline in scholarship of working and reaching, having percent of scholars who advance within each of the performance levels are relatively satisfactory. Our scholars are continuing to make growth in regards to English proficiency, which is what this is assessing. And as you, if you take a look at the chart on page 2, you can see the comparisons with regards to the benchmark that was set last year versus targets that we identified for some of those areas. The majority of the areas did not set a target, and then you're seeing the data that are there. Our overarching goal is really along that MPP line, making sure that we get 50 or above for that MPP line, and then looking at the components overall for how many of our scholars, or the percentage of our scholars that are actually growing within each of the given performance levels are, and that's on page 1. Expanding. Well, let me start with the first performance level. First performance level is entering, which is level 1. The second performance level is emerging, which is a level 2. Then developing, which is a level 3. Expanding, which is a level 4. And then bridging is a level 5. I'm sorry, reaching is a level 5. And bridging is a level 5, and reaching is a level 6. And our goal, of course, is to get all of our scholars to level 5 and level 6 in order to be effective. Have any questions for me with regards to the chart or my assessment? And it's the growth, yeah. Next think January or February, when we bring back the indicators. I look at NPP, because the NPP will anticipate that the targets will continue to be 50, probably not above 50, but only for the first to fifth grade will probably take that 50, but for all secondary schools from particularly that target as 50, and 50 is the average. For the percentage of scholars who are advancing within the proficiency level, although they may not have achieved the proficiency level that we're anticipating they're advancing, we anticipate probably maybe a 3 to 5% percentage of increase from where that's
won't have a work session in January to talk about it. We'll be doing it, providing work session. So, we'll have to discuss it and then adopt it. Discuss it.
That depends. It depends on the actual conversation. If you guys agree with the assessment that I did and the targets that I set, if not, then we will regroup and come back and talk about it.
So that's my question about the so you all will evaluate and try to get that all back. That's part about individuals
what we do for each of the reports is a breakdown according to the scholar groups. And then when we give a breakdown for each of the campuses in comparison to the previous year, we're just showing that which campuses may have seen an increase versus which campuses may not have seen an increase. But I think it's important to remember, one, the performance level for where the scholars are. So there could be some campuses that may have had a higher percentage of low-level English proficiency, English speakers that came into their program, which then reduces their percentage to actually have the higher heights. And so that could be a drop, but you really can't count that as a drop because those kids are using their program. And so those kids aren't English proficient in that year, which is why we're actually looking at how far those kids advance within those years. So if I'm a level 1 student with a scale score of 300 one year, the next year my scale score could end up being 350, but I'm still a level 1. That will not be reflected in the actual achieving the highest proficiency level. So that's important for us to make that difference in getting the grades. And then just the opposite could happen. We could have some scholars that are into a program who are at the highest level of English proficiency. And they were there when they went there, English still very different, and they're counted in the highest level of proficiency. So it's just to show the comparison. 1 year and the next, not necessarily going to be the fairest way to show how well the campuses are performing, but it's just the biggest piece is really looking at, and then also looking at how well kids are progressing with it. On the other pages where it gives you the breakdown for our scholar groups, this is something that we look at just to see if we are actually closing gaps within those scholar groups. I don't think this necessarily that needs to be highlighted with regards to those gaps, particularly this is just really centered on efficiency. So we anticipate that they're going to be a good number of kids, especially kids who are coming in early to the English language program. If their performance is not as significant when they enter, we aren't going to expect that the kids are going to as long as they're progressing over the years. District-wide, I know what you're saying. District-wide, we do. At some campuses,
Like the Senate.
the center-based program, we do have it here. One of our campuses, Otero, for example, they didn't have a large enough in size for us to really get a good gauge and care of what. But for the most part, the bulk of our campuses have a large.
Right. So,
This one,
no, we already,
we're going to present to you.
okay.
And the other report is called accreditation. Totally identified by. This is an actual indicator report, so there's no rate that's listed there. This year, look at page 3. At the elementary school level, 86% of our campuses were rated at performance. At the middle school level, 75% of our campuses were rated at performance. And at the high school level, none of our campuses were rated at performance. Now, the good piece is we have 0 turnaround schools in the district, which is a definite positive. But we did have some campuses that went back in there. Harrison High School dropped from performance to improvement. Sierra dropped from performance to improvement because of the participation rate that they did not achieve. Carmel dropped from performance to improvement because they didn't achieve enough numbers. Panorama increased from improvement to performance because they had a significant number of Stratton Meadows dropped from performance to improvement, and that was because of the participation rate, which we had already anticipated that was up to improve, which last year. We did do a request to reconsider, so we anticipate that we will get okay to get back to the ordinance. And then lastly, term elementary school draft ordinance. Then that that's pretty much it. We district-wide, we typically do not have an issue with participation rate outside of things that are public schools. In this particular situation, with Sierra, it's just a situation with kids actually. And we did a request to reconsider from the state, of course, and was playing hard-nosed with participation rate. Absolutely not, because of some other folks deliberately manipulating participation rate. So the state is really saying absolutely.
So we will,
It's already done.
so this is the,
Good evening, Board of Education. We're excited to be here tonight. I'd like to point out my guest to the right of me. We have our auditor, Tom Sister from Holtmead and Company, who is our independent annual financial audit, and he is going to do a summarization of the CAFR and again review with you and answer any questions you may have. So I'm going to step forward to him.
I know. I'm going to try it right here. I'm going to cue from you. Except it's rolling. I can set it on Shelly's speaker. No, this is fine. Well, thank you for having me here tonight to talk about the audit. You know, this the bound copy that you get is a culmination of many months of efforts for both the district staff as well as mine, and I appreciate the opportunity to share the fruits of our collective efforts. So I've passed out a 2-page summary sheet, which I assume you prefer to look at than a 100-page audit to go through. Yes. So you should have that in front of you, and I'll just walk in. So my staff and I were on site for about 3 days in the early part of the summer. reviewing and testing internal controls. Then we designed our audit plan based on results of those tests and performed our field work in late over 50 days. We found that the controls appear to be well designed and operating effectively. And as a result of our audit, we found that the overall financial condition of the district is good, is strong, and that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material aspects. So the result of the audit is unmodified. Looking down at number 2, I think this is particularly important that when I get together with you that I talk about the difference between the government-wide and the foreign financial statements. So there's 2 main presentations in the financial statements. The fund statements reflect how the district keeps its books on a day-to-day basis. The budgets are adopted on this basis, and the financial reports that you as a board receive are on the fund basis. And then the government-wide financial statements combine all of these funds into a single public-page presentation. The government-wide statements include capital assets, debt, as well as other liabilities. This became particularly important last year as you're required to adopt GASB 68 and report your share of the para net pension. And as I move down to number 3, you'll see why that's a bit of a big deal. So number 3, the statement of net position. That's essentially the balance sheet for the government-wide statement. So I'm going to highlight some things here. Unrestricted assets are up about 5.3% from last year. That's made up primarily of cash equivalents, being up about 1.1 million. Also, receivables are up about 1.1 million. Looking at liabilities, we've got that's kind of a big line on here. Liabilities are up about 21 million for the year. Most of that is made up of the net pension liability, increasing about 22 million. The net pension liability this year, at the end of the year, is 189 million. And what that is that is your share of the net pension liability. Okay, so it's the actuarial calculation of that total liability. And Para's liability at the end of 15 years, what this is based on, was about a little more than $15 billion, up from about $13.5 billion from the year before. So this $189 million liability is your chunk of that. Right? But the important thing to realize is that decisions by lenders, that sort of thing, are really based on primarily general fund, but the bottom line is based on the fund presentation. But it's something that is in your financial statements and certainly important to be aware of and understanding what you're doing. And then a portion of that change in liabilities were about $2.7 million of bonds and capital that were paid off during the looking at net position, so for the government-wide statements, net position is essentially your equity position, and of course that is negative due to that net pension liability. I don't know that there is any school district or charter school in the state of Colorado that would not be. Certainly, all of our clients are because of that pension liability. But I'll point out a couple of categories here. The net investment in capital assets is up 294,000 for the year, really just due to the net reduction in assets as they are depreciated, as well as the payoff. And restricted was up about 550,000 That's primarily due to the payment increase. Looking at number 4, getting I think 2 more relevant numbers on at least from a operating standpoint. Looking at the general fund, and just point out here that your unassigned fund balance, so that's what's left over that's not tied to specific purposes but is strictly committed or assigned, is about 25% of your expenditures for the year. So just about 90 days worth of operations is covered in that. And I would say that that's a strong position compared to other to manage the other. Some are right about there. Some are a fair bit less. Yes. Long-term debt. Touch on that a little bit. There was no new debt issued this year, so the change in debt for the year is what it's based on you paying based on the debt. Number 6, again, we're talking about the fund presentation again, and this schedule here really mirrors one of the required schedules that's included very last page of the financial statements, and it's the transmission, the pipeline transmission that Shelley's staff and department need to the Department of Education. And so this is showing the beginning balance plus what has occurred during the year to get to the ending balance of revenue and expenses. I'm going to highlight a few things here. First, I'll point out that the general fund, as it's reported in the financial statements, is made up of 3 funds, or the general fund plus 2 sub-funds. So that's including the general fund, the insurance reserve fund, and the preschool fund. So general fund, taking that all together, general fund revenue for the year was up $4.8 million. That's made up of local revenue being up about $800,000, primarily with increases in property tax revenue and tuition. And then state revenues were up about $4 million, and that's pretty well tied down to state equalization. Federal revenue was pretty flat, about the same. And then expenditures in the general fund were up $6.9 million. Overall, this was a net decrease in fund balance of $255,000, which, when we're talking this size, is pretty steady. And most of that, just about all that, is related to the preschool fund. I think the actual general fund itself was in the 10,000 something like that. Yeah, it was actually up about $10,000. That's like, when you're talking about your own budget. Food service, fund balance for the year was up $276,000. That's made up of revenue being up about $148,000. We saw some larger fluctuations in there because the federal revenue was up $460,000, while local revenue was down about $380,000. So that's really the transitioning of how you're operating food service right now, where I believe all the students are getting lunch through the federal programs, all or most, I should say. So it's really charges for services, or charges for food service going down, but being replaced by those federal programs. And then expenditures were down about $1.1 million, and that's mostly building and capital project funds. Where fund balance was up about $872,000 in total. We saw larger increased transfers in there to finance new building projects. So we saw more money coming in, more money coming out, and that's essentially how those funds are going to work. And then the health fund balance was down about $710,000. Premiums were up $667,000, but claims were up 1.2 million. That fund fluctuates wildly from year to year. You just have to have somebody with very serious, just one person with a serious condition, and it could blow up. But we tend to see it level out over sometimes 1 year to the next, sometimes over a couple of years. But I naturally look back and see exactly how it's going. I think the key thing with that fund is you don't get excited in a good year. You look back and will come eventually. Well, and the interesting thing is I've seen districts adjust before where they say, "Oh, we can reduce premiums," and it goes through that. Internal controls. A larger component of our audit is internal controls, because that's what we're spending a lot of our time doing when we're here over the summertime. And also internal controls are very much related to the single audit or the grants audit, which is presented towards the end of the financial statements here. First of all, we had no negative comments on internal controls, either for the financial statements, or for the internal control of the grants themselves. The other component that we look at for federal programs rolling into number 8 here is also compliance. So we are looking, each year we rotate through your larger grant programs, and we're testing those specifically on a rotating basis to see if you are remaining in compliance. You are in compliance with the different grant requirements. This year we looked at the child nutrition program, and we also looked at impact aid. And again, there are no impact aid. Yes. And impact aid, we like impact aid because it's not in compliance. That's an easy one to test. But again, an unmodified opinion on all reports there. At the beginning of the audit, there's our opinion on the financial statements, and then at the end, there's several opinions on major programs and internal control. So again, unmodified opinion. And then lastly, I just want to commend Shelley for kind of taking on the toughest job. When you walked in and she's responsible for dealing with what other people worked with throughout the year. I mean, she came in at the end of the fiscal year. So it's really a challenge to do that. And it happens to, I think, every CFO at some point or another. I remember talking to one a number of years ago that had to do 2 audits because she did one and then moved to the next district and they hadn't done theirs yet. That's right. That's right. Exactly. But really, she got her staff moving along and got it all done. So with that, I'm more than happy to take any questions you might have about anything, either the process or anything you've seen in the financial statements themselves. Nobody ever does that, quite frankly. We haven't. Yes, right. Yeah. It's a small world in yeah. Yes. Or the other way, actually. Yep. And I don't know, because what? No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. And one thing is too is you can see that fluctuate too as you are committing more money to different areas. So your fund balance, you have several components of fund balance you might have. They could be committed balances, they could be restricted. And so, for example, this year, a big change was a larger chunk going towards cable. So with that considered, we saw a chunk that was an unrestricted move to restricted. So that would be probably a larger number. That's right. Well, and I think the idea, and it's the relationship of the unassigned fund. So there's a number of categories that are already tied to different things. I think this puts it more in. This becomes a metric that CPP doesn't so much use, but it tends to be more familiar when you're sitting on your side of the table saying, "Oh, I'm used to dealing with whether it's my own budget or dealing with not-for-profits," and saying, you see that 90 days is, kind of on the hook. That feels pretty good. Sure. Thank you. We'll try to make it for 10 years next year. Yeah, I know. Well, All right. Darn it. Thank you. No, that's great to hear. All right. Thank you.
Finance staff and team. I mean, to really say to have, when you have new leadership starting on June 30th and digging right in. But what we're most excited about is, I do not know. I look at Dr. Spencer. What was I thinking? You're welcome. No, seriously, it's really been a great learning opportunity and for the staff and for the team, and we're excited in moving forward. I'm most excited about we had a clean audit, and that's really beneficial to not only current staff but previous staff. So really want to give that shout out to them. That's right off the bat. That's like, I think in a school indicator rating, I could kind of, that's like A plus. Do you think? We'll ask you, no, but to really say we have a clean audit. Yeah. GFOA. So I really appreciate behind the scenes, and we met, I'm all about legal compliance, so we met on November 30th. We do not have to go past the state CE for an extension. So really thank you to Tom's team that he brought forward and everybody just really digging in. Here we are. This is the end result, the final product. We're very excited and so thank you. first of all, while Norma is bringing her PowerPoint back up after it went to sleep, you may notice a new face to my left. I'd like to introduce. Great. I have the pleasure to introduce, this is Scott Howard, our Director of Finance. He is 6 days on the job. So I'm very excited and pleased for him to join us. He comes most recently at CDOT. So again, as I've been telling folks, if you have questions about roads, bridges, construction, what's going on, hey, you can tap his ear. I'm very excited what he brings and will bring to our team, his experience and background in cash management, process improvement, analysis work. So we're very excited to have him as a part of the team. And anything you'd like to say?
No, very glad to be here. It's been 5 days or 6 days already. As I
So as Scott mentioned, bless his heart, we jumped right into certifying the new levy. And as we go through this, the challenge for school districts is we have a very short window of time that we're given the information. So I apologize. We did not have this information any earlier. We will make sure for next year. By the time we get our assessed valuation from the county and then our information from CDE, it's a very tight window, and then depending on the board meeting schedule. So, great. I don't know if I need to go ahead and push buttons or click or. Oh. So I just wanted to put a couple of slides here just to highlight a bit of information. So first one, legal compliance. Scott and I just came through talking to some aspiring new administrators here in the district. And yes, and so we were talking a little bit of kind of do's and don'ts and what's part of school finance and the budget. And I said, well, it's interesting tonight at the board meeting, we're doing one of, I would say, the top 3 things on something you don't want to never do, and that is certify your mill levy. The state actually has parameters in place, and in my tenure of 20 years in this industry, I actually know of a school district that did not certify their mill levy in time by December 15th, and so therefore the state does have consequences. So legal compliance, the first one to be, we want to make sure we certify to our county commissioner by December 15th on mill levy. Our mill levy is based upon our most recent assessed valuation from El Paso County that we received end of November. So really just wanted to that's a quick refresh. Scott and I were just kind of looking as we both newer-ish to the district, and really just to give a little historical perspective. And here we just wanted to show you over the past few years where the mill levy has been for the district. And it's been very consistent and very much at the same levels. So here we have it broken down between, we have our general fund, and that's the property tax that will come in to fund our general fund operations for the district. We have our overrides, which is our 5.7 million voter approved override, and then we have our bond up at the top. So again, that's just for informational purposes. Here now we've done a breakdown to show what is the dollar amount of revenues that those mills generate. So here again, we've done the breakdown between last year and this year. And as you notice, Tom had as an auditor, his numbers kind of went from right to left. And so when Eileen and we were looking at numbers, yeah, I just wanted to point that out here. He would be left to right. We're really, the mill levy we have before you to certify, and it's in the resolution and in the memo that you have before you, is to really the total levy of 36.278 mils that will generate $20.8 million for the district. That is broken down. Our general fund, we will have a little over 16 million, and for our bond redemption fund, 4.5 million. So just wanted to show a little comparison. At the very top, the net assessed valuation. Interesting to see we've had an increase in our AV, 9.9 million, and 8.5 of that is due to new construction. Okay, so, oh, okay, great. So, again, that's, yeah, we're good to see. Seen a number of districts that have lost their oil and gas revenues or through their increase. So again, we're glad to be going in the direction that we are. Here is something that, again, I'm just personally scientific benchmarks and data, and then talked to quick conversation with Dr. Spencer. We really, kind of like to look to see how do we compare, how do we look like against our peers. And I apologize, I should have put this maybe in the order from smallest to largest alphabetical. It's an order that CDE has listed the El Paso County school districts. But here, this is just a note to really look at how Harrison compares to other districts in the region. And again, interesting information, we're second lowest with our 36 total mills. You see Academy to the far right. And again, this information is from last year because right now, all school districts like ourselves are certifying their mill levy. But again, just to show, to give some, point of relevance, how our other districts stack up. A piece I always find interesting, and that individuals asked, what is that? If I'm a taxpayer here, what does that mean to me? And so we've done this here on $100,000 home value. So again, if it's a 200,000, 300, just multiply it up. The assessment rate for school districts on residential properties, 7.96%, with our mill levy that we're going to certify to the county by December 15th at 36.278. That will generate for a $100,000 average home, if that's the case, $288.77. So that kind of helps just to kind of put some perspective. I think I'm hearing a little really, or is that kind of like, wow, is that all? Or just kind of some, that's where, yeah. So that's really to think, that's just some good benchmarking data to think about when we think how much in property tax revenue does our mill generate. So that is what we have for the slides. You have in your packet, again, the mill levy broken out, the general fund, the bond, and then a resolution that states the information. So in there in the resolution, our net assessed valuation is $573 million, an increase over the prior year. And in the resolution, we just have it broken to, there's a section on the general fund and then the bond fund, because there are those two separate mills. Interesting note, we, Scott and I were looking yesterday, the abatements doubled, increased by 2. The year before, is that I think about 80,000, and now we saw about 160,000. So again, that's just a point of note of interest to say, are people abating their properties? Are they, questioning? Are they? Right. When you get your tax bill and you go in and go, hey, no. 160. Didn't you see?
160. That's the abatement from last year. That kind of gets rolled forward into the next year, so that's a good abatement.
Right. When you think 80,000 and 160.
I'll
So it'll be curious once all school districts certify their mill levies by December 15th. As we know, heard that above, this was Colorado's largest year in going to the elections in November, asking for, I think it was over $1 billion to mill levy, bond, etc. So it'll be interesting to see as the counties and all this information is dispersed. It'll be interesting to see who all's gone out there with their mill levies. But
Yes, the process is the same for all.
correct. And what we're doing too, that we had in our first line, the mills that we're assessing today are for collection in the spring. You're welcome. Thank you.
Whereas pursuant to section 22-40-102, Colorado Revised Statutes on or before December 15, 2016, the Board of Education of the Harrison School District 2 shall certify to the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County the amounts necessary to be raised from levies against the valuation for assessment of all taxable property located within the school district for the general fund and the bond redemption fund for the current fiscal year. And whereas the El Paso County Assessors have provided to the Harrison School District 2 the 2016 certifications, evaluations, and written notice to the school districts of refunds and abatements as of August 1st, 2016. And whereas under applicable Colorado law, including the provisions for section 39-10-114, Colorado Revised Statutes, the Board of Education of Harrison School District 2 shall adjust its mill levy as determined under the Public School Finance Act of 1994, section 22-54-101, ET SEQ, Colorado Revised Statute, to collect revenues lost through previous year's abatements and refunds. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Harrison School District 2, El Paso County, Colorado, herewithin authorizes and certifies to the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, State of Colorado, the total amount of $16,224,553 to be raised from a levy of 28.27 mils, consisting of a standard levy of 17.977 mils pursuant to the Public School Finance Act of 1994. 10.022 mils approved by the voters as mill levy overrides, and 0.279 mils for abatements and refunds against the net valuation of assessments in the amount of $573,751,780 for all taxable property located within the boundaries of the school district for the general fund of the school district for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2017. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the Harrison School District 2, El Paso County, Colorado, herewithin authorizes and certifies to the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, State of Colorado, the total amount of $4,590,014 to be raised from a levy of 8.000 mils against the net valuation of assessment in the amount of $5,753,751,780 for all taxable property located within the boundaries of Colorado School District for the bond redemption fund of the school district for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2017. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Education be and is hereby directed to forward the certification for each fund by a copy of this resolution to the Board of County Commissioners for El Paso County, State of Colorado. Approved this day, the 8th of December, 2016. By Eileen Gonzalez, Board of Education President, and attested to by Joyce Lee, Secretary, Board of Education.
All right, after all that, any questions or comments? We need a motion. That was a motion. We need a second. Thank you. So, motion by Mr. Seaver, second by Joyce. So, but I'm just going to make sure you the whole thing again. Any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Congratulations. Okay. Thank you, Steve. That was kind of a go, Steve. Yeah. There you go. You've got a future in books on tape. Okay. So while I am signing this, we have the next item is our OED monitoring review. We have OE12 learning environment, OE5 learning environment, OE12 discipline, and OE4 personnel administration. We have a
Yes.
okay. Moving forward.
We'll start with OE4 for personnel administration.
Okay, hold on. I didn't. Right.
And Dr. Lavia will take us through the changes that we have made.
So the one that's attached to the board docs does not have the red line. So you may have trouble following along. Do you have them? Or do you have if somehow in the road way the board docs and then us down with the whatever, we'll touch with this, I think we have save the red lines as that the red line is showing up in PDF document or the PDF document, then it holds on to them and you don't use the red line. The red line. So, are they significant or? Okay, so wait, I think Joyce might, so where did this come from? From the original beginning. Okay, so you downloaded this report up? Okay, hold on, delay that. Because Joyce said that there's, so the first deadline is in, yeah, and then, well, so I see the comment bubble with range comments, but I don't see. Okay. So, are there any, let me ask you, so are there any sections that have to be lined out? Yeah. Okay. So none of the comments, none of the content is there in terms of the med. Were there any comments on range?
We do require them to do it for giving ourselves and I don't think we've had an issue where we've had
although that is a principle, you're measuring yourself hardly and so good. I bet you. Yeah. What was the number? So you're moving from 30%. What was the number? Oh, sorry, not. Sorry.
Being eligible effectiveness with the understanding that we have several teachers who are at level and they choose not to go through the distinguished teacher process. They opt to stay at level, which we are highlighting that that's exactly what they choose to stay there. They have to do that, but they could be eligible to move up to the level.
And so the way they read it was like they will move. Right, so not they got it. Okay. So we'll look at how many of them are eligible. So that's not necessarily based on our looking at it, yeah, little bit. Yeah, how many are eligible. Okay. Yes.
That was based on the last few years of data for the past couple of years. This is actually based on the data. So we will have to stretch goals, something that is doable, but because it is an indicator, it's based on the level. And then my question is on the last bullet, who is still non-union?
And our JROTC teacher is so we had a handful of just by the nature of it. Yeah.
And I put that there is titles with the names of the titles of teachers and I'll give it on the The next bullet to that is actually a new bullet, and it is addressing the need to review the benefits packet. So it needs a review of our benefits packet will be conducted during the district's benefit committee meetings throughout the fiscal year to ensure that the compensation packet offered is attractive in comparison to the officials of the plans. The indicator actually talks about and also the next goal of this solution, compensation package for positions that are identified as part of the deal based on this discussion will be reviewed and modified as needed to attract and retain the highest based on not development license or license employees necessary to obtain indicators that we use. They used to start with all licensed personnel. Assistant development office and all licensed all personnel. 4.10 is addressing the evaluation of all external and the interpretation of external content for the second point. We are again, this could change just to be consistent with starting with 85%. Used to start during the annual evaluation cycle, 85% of the staff, either way, they would have to be involved in registration and knowledge and skills. So right now, it's just the same, starting with 4.12. Okay. 4.12 does not have any comments on the asking group. Okay, but the first bullet indicators of compliance is also keeping the revenue to make sure that there's consistent discussion. Oh, but there's I'm kind of changing there. The former one had the facility this one says this state has almost like weeks. And
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Spencer, OE5, the learning environment. I'll start with page 2. With your permission, we'll just kind of take a look at the evidence of compliance as it relates to each indicator. So in a student survey, 87% of our students agree that the school sets a high bar for learning, so we did meet the indicator expectation. The second bullet, however, only 83% of the staff in the district climate survey agree that the instructional learning environment leads to high student achievement. We fell short by 2%, so we don't know who they are, but we'll work with them hopefully. Third bullet point, 85% of our students receiving academic and behavioral interventions have shown improved performance in the identified area. The remaining 15% are receiving increased levels of support as they move through the RTI process, and 100% of our campuses address academic and behavioral needs. We have as a supporting document for you all of the interventions that play out both, for the most part, in the areas of reading, writing, communicating, and math at all of our campuses. And I hope you've got that supporting document. I'm sorry, response to intervention, right. It's okay, we'll move on to page 3. During the 15-16 school year, there were no violations of FERPA, as reported by the Family Policy Compliance Office of the Department of Education, U.S. Department of Education. Page 5, there were no incidents of an adult adversely affecting the well-being of a student, which the district did not take immediate and appropriate action to protect the student. All incidents were reported thoroughly and investigated by Human Capital. The second bullet, after a random review of 240 student report cards, bodies of evidence, and reviewing 20% of academic or behavioral response to intervention plans by student support, it is noted that there are no incidents of students being hindered from attaining academic progress during any period within the school. And we've captured the actual schools that we conducted when we reviewed the report cards and the response to intervention plans. Randomly. So, we just made sure that we had a set number of schools that represented the elementary level. We only have like 3 middle schools, and we reviewed report cards at both our high schools. Exactly. So really the randomization was at the elementary level. Page 5 of 5. There were no violations of collecting unnecessary or irrelevant information about students, and all surveys and collection of student information was approved by the superintendent for the 15-16 year. This information comes directly from the Research Data and Accountability Office. And also the second bullet, at the review of the data requests made by the Student Support and Research Data and Accountability Department, no unnecessary and or irrelevant data was shared or collected. So we are in compliance. Just back to the first page, we are in compliance with noted exceptions, and the noted exception is bullet 2 of 051, and again by only 2%. OE12 is discipline. And we'll start with page 2. In a survey conducted prior to June 2015, 87% of students agree. When rules are broken at our school, there are consequences. Bullet 2, student support has reviewed office referrals, suspensions, consequences, and has determined that students receive appropriate consequences. Here we go with that 99% of the time for disruptive behaviors that interfere with the learning environment as defined by the Student Code of Conduct. And this information is coming directly out of Infinite Campus, by the way. Bullet 3, in a comparison between the 14-15 and 15-16 school years, we are very pleased and proud to present there was a significant decrease in the number of referrals during the 14-15 year. The total number of office referrals throughout the district is 9,548, resulting in 2,323 suspensions and or expulsions. However, in 15-16, we had 7,314 referrals that only resulted in 739 suspensions and expulsions. The decrease was pretty significant, 58.5% decrease. I think a number of things. So pretty robust response intervention process at many of our campuses. So we're not just looking at academic concerns, we also are looking at the behavioral concerns. I think very clear direction given to the social workers and counselors around supporting students who are in crisis, students who have social emotional needs. We've got the referrals to Aspen Point. I think we've done a very good job of accelerating students who have gone through the RTI, the response intervention process for a period, but are now presenting with the possibility of a disabling condition that could result in special education programming. So really getting those individuals the supports that they need. I think also with Teresa and me, it's been a extended conversation with our administrators around the code of conduct and what infractions really warrant suspensions and expulsions, particularly those level 3 and level 4 expulsions. And when we see students who are frequent flyers or repeat offenders, what are we doing to put in place to ensure that they are not disrupting classrooms? So make sure you get those attachments as well. Page 3 of 6, a review of campus classrooms show that 100% of classrooms have the students following the behavior management system that is used in the classroom. The code of conduct, if you look at the bottom of page 3 of 6, the code of conduct was reviewed by district administrators in the 15-16 school year, and it was determined that changes should be made to reflect changes in the legislation, particularly changes that speak specifically to the use of medical marijuana. And that change was noted in our code of conduct. Page 4 of 6, the student code of conduct, we are in compliance. The student code of conduct is made available to students. It's in both English and Spanish, made available to our parents, and also 100% of the students receive a planner with the district expectations, and the district expectations here is the code of conduct. The last bullet, in a survey conducted prior to May of 2016, 85% of students indicated that families understand how students are expected to behave. And 71% of staff indicated they understand school and district policies for student behavior. The very last page, page 6 of 6. In a survey conducted prior to May of the OE monitoring year, only 62% of our staff responded that the consequences are the same for all students and who break a rule in accordance with the code of conduct, and we were really shooting for 70% of the staff responding favorably. A review of random sample of the second bullet of student office referral suspension and consequences shows that students receive similar consequences for similar behaviors 100% of the time. And again, we attribute that to a very clear understanding around the student code of conduct. So if a student is acting out for a particular reason, what should be the accompanying infraction and is it consistent with that infraction, irregardless of race, gender, or any other factor. Third bullet, a review of a random sample of student office referrals, suspension, and consequences shows that students receive reasonable consequences based on the district code of conduct 99% of the time. We are in compliance again. And the very last bullet, a review of student office referrals, suspensions, and consequences shows that 100% of expulsions are based on reasonable consequences as outlined in the code of conduct. We are in compliance. And again, the refrain is, we believe that there's a clear understanding of what the code of conduct captures and what are those accompanying consequences. Overall, compliance with noted exceptions, and in this case, 12.4 bullet 1, and we again fell short by 8% as it relates to the staff response.
Turn off.
Thank you. So yeah, and let us know, but I would entertain.
So moved.
Second, we have a second. Moved by Mrs. Christie, by Mrs. Torres. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. So moving on to board proposals, we have our annual work plan. Would you like to take a look at that?
Yes. Is that at the Philwall Center again?
Yeah. The name of the church. So there's like church. Really? Yeah. It's like she runs this. Yeah, but that'll be on the 17th, and hopefully we don't get the snow storm that we had last year. God is not also about the on the same place. So there's a lot of families in our district who go to the please open start lining up how to do that. This jacket, hats, thank you. Great. We also have
want to give them or find that very clearly, or just give them a couple. Is there a question we should ask? Kelly, is there anything prepared for? Have you given the superintendent the items as no. I
Move to approve the board's consent agenda items as stated.
Aye.